What up, everybody? It's Stream Daddies, your boy, coming at you with a deck profile for Vegito, a leader that I've been working with for a long time. I was in and out between set 2, and then now with set 3 I wanted to give it a shot, and I actually took it to a tournament today and did pretty well with it, so wanted to kind of run by how this works. And this is 100% homebrew. I've looked at other lists, but none of them really gave me any good ideas, so all of this is 100% up to me. A lot of the other Vegito deck profiles that I saw were pretty much strictly based around like stopping at 5 and just like heavily aggressing your opponent. I like the big chains that you can do in this, but I also like not 100% depending on them. So that's what this was kind of built for. If you don't know what Vegito does, front side, he has a permanent that says all of your Gokus and Vegetas are all 3 colors, so green, red, and blue. And then when he swings, his auto is that he mills the top card if it's red. So that means that if there's any regular red cards, or if any Gokus or Vegetas, since they count as red, get pulled and it goes into the drop area, then he gets an extra 5k on his front side. So he can still pressure awakened leaders, which is really good. Comes in handy a lot if they haven't put enough pressure on you. You're still able to actually put pressure on them with his unawakened side. His awakened is still the draw 2 at 4, and then his awakened side says that if there's 10 Gokus or Vegetas in your drop area, then he gets an extra 5k boost and double strike. So getting to 10 is a little difficult. This deck does really, I think it pushes to it as fast as probably any deck profile is going to. But it's not strictly based around it's not even strictly based around this being really effective. This is just kind of a nice little added bonus, an extra 5k. Pushes them to either have to super combo into things or dump an extra, 2 things into it just to get over the extra 5 that it puts on. And then if they can't, then it's double strike, which is just additional pressure. So the leader card is really cool. The fact that it turns your Gokus and Vegetas into all 3 colors, it opens up, because the challenge, obviously you find maybe your open hand isn't the best. If you're running say a different deck that doesn't do this, if your opening hand isn't the best, then you're kind of set up to be on the back foot almost the entire game, because your energy doesn't line up right. With this, you're almost always going to have 100% what you need, regardless of how many colors you decide to run in this. Super fun leader. So I'll get into the actual deck itself. This shouldn't come as any surprise. 4 Kind Saiyan Son Gokus. These look at the top 7. And you get to pull a blue Goku any cost, but since again all Gokus and Vegetas count as any color, literally any Goku in this entire deck you can pull. So it makes it really easy to grab. I've never ever seen a whiff on this, and you'll see how many Gokus are in this just to give you an idea. But pulling the top 7 is really good, and being able to pick literally anything you want is obviously a huge benefit. The next thing that we run is going to be 4 of the double shot Super Saiyan 2 Vegetas. These are just your 1k combo. Usually I would do it on their turn because it comes in rest mode, and so you always say you miss the Kind Saiyan on 1, you'd keep that energy open, go into their turn 1 or turn 2, and you can actually combo with this. And then if you get a cheap Goku, then you're already off to a good Union Patora. Or otherwise it's just you can use it late game as a stop, and you get a body out of it as well because it comes in rest mode. Super strong card. The next card is 4 copies of the Bundle of Curiosity Son Goku. Just another Goku activator and a draw. Draw power is ridiculously strong in any card game. So yeah, it's a solid hit. If you missed your Kind Saiyan on 1, then you're almost guaranteed to have at least a Goku by 2. The next I run 2, so there's 2 different Vegetas here, and I run 2 copies of each. This first one is going to be Tenacious Vegeta. It's a strong card in terms of getting your Union Patora taken care of. If you have your Goku out, you have your Tenacious Vegeta, and you want to drop it on 2. It's got Revenge, so battle cards aren't typically going to want to run into it, and then it has a permanent that hero cards can't attack it. So only battle cards can run into it, so they kind of run into the option of either usually get it out early, but they'll run into the problem of not wanting to run their battle card into it. But if they leave it up, then you have a solid Union Patora target for it. So it's nice for, you know, resisting essentially and making sure that you're almost guaranteed your Union. The other two drop copy that I run is the Comrades Combined Vegeta. If all your energy is blue, which again, your leader card, Vegito, is going to turn everything, all three colors, and regardless of what area it is, energy, deck, hand, draw, like everything, it's always those three colors. So you'll almost always have blue energy, and it reduced the cost by 1. So this is another one where you're going to be essentially dropping it on 2. Same thing as Tenacious Vegeta, but it's a 2 cost 20k, which can put maybe a little bit of additional pressure if you absolutely need it, but it's usually just used to make sure that you have a solid Union Patora target. The next one is the opposite side, so these are going to be 2 copies of 2 different Gokus. The first set of 2 copies is going to be the other Comrades Combined. This is the Comrades Combined Sun Goku. What this one does is when you play it, you look at the top 7, pull a Vegeta that is 3 cost or less, and instantly put it out in rest mode. It's supposed to be blue, but again, it doesn't matter what color Vegeta you pull out. These are going to be your good targets for it. These 4 that I just went over. Or you can get the double shot out if you need to. All this does is if you've had a tough time, or say they've had a really good time at removing your board those first couple turns, and you're really trying, and you'll see later as I get actually into the Vegitos, if they've had a good time at removing your board, you've had a tough time establishing those Union Patora targets if you need them. This comes down on 3 and just gives you that instant. You get the Goku and it automatically pulls a Vegeta out. It does come in rust mode, which is it's kind of a struggle because again, these aren't going to be that strong. You're either going to have a 10, a 15, or a 20k. The 20k is the highest Vegeta you're ever going to get pulled off of it. But if you drop it on 3, they have a decent to rough time removing it if they absolutely need to. The other Goku that I run as a set of 2 is the Determined Striker Super Saiyan Blue Sun Goku. This one is a counter to an attack, so it's defensive again. Like I said, this deck isn't just about aggressing your opponent like straight away and trying to finish them off. It's about trying to kind of, it's more of a mid, I would say it's more of a mid game deck. You're not looking to just rush them down. So this kind of plays as a defensive card, but it also again works like like the Striker Vegeta, where you're playing it on their turn, you're stopping an attack, and then you have a Union Patora target if you need it, or just a 20k to push extra damage late game. The ability that it has is a permanent. If you discard 2 Saiyans from your hand, which you'll almost always have, it reduced the cost by 3, so you can counter on for 1. It's a super solid card. You can either counter for 4 or counter for 1 and just discard 2 Saiyans. And with Vegito needing Gokus and Vegetas in your drop area when it flips, this works. It's kind of synergizes with it. I don't really ever see a lot of deck profiles run this, but this has done a lot of work for me. The next one is another set of 2. It's 2 Gokus. These are the Dash promos. This is the Rapid Onslaught Super Saiyan Blue Sun Goku. Not really necessary at all. It's a good card if you want to put some crit damage in, or say you just need something to kind of help awaken. It evolves for 3 into a 5 cost, which is a huge benefit. There's some cards that synergize in here with having to have a 5 cost, and we'll get into those a little bit later. 5 cost Goku. So this gets it out very quickly, and you can evolve it onto any Sun Goku. So your best target is usually going to be that Kind Saiyan at the very beginning, the 1-drop. Evolve this for 3. It's double strike, and then its auto is when you play it, you can take a life, put it in your drop area, and then it gains crit for the turn. So it's really it's good pressure, and it's good crit damage. Like I said, it's not 100% necessary. It is really strong though if you're kind of finding you're having a tough time getting into Union Patoras, or maybe you're just having a tough time establishing anything later game. You can drop this, do some crit damage, make sure that they don't gain any hand advantage, and then you have that extra 20k on board. The next card that I'm going to do is kind of it's obviously the instigator of the chain itself that can happen inside of the deck. Again, I don't want a deck that's 100% built around like chaining, and if you lose that chain, it's over. Like, it's a mid-game deck that can go grindy, so if you don't have this, it's okay. But this is the Lightning Speed Vegito. This, I would say, is probably the most important card in the deck if you're looking to finish quick or just really finish games and get out really far ahead. Lightning Speed Vegito is a 5 cost. So Union Pator is for 3, which is really important. You drop your Kind Saiyan on 1, your Tenacious or your Comrades Vegito on 2. You can do this on 3. So it's Union Pator, so that puts everything back in active, so you can swing with the 2 cards that you fuse together. It's got a permanent that it can attack cards in active mode, which is really strong. And then its auto is you, after battle, regardless of what it fights, you mill the top 10 cards of your deck, and then it evolves into an active Vegito with 25,000 attack or less. And you'll see the targets that we have for it. So the combo, of course, again, is swinging with the 2 things that you're going to Union Pator. You Union Pator, it puts this in active mode. You swing with this, you mill the top 10, and then you evolve again into something even bigger. And then you swing with that as well. And you're getting all the effects as all these things go off. It's insane. Again, this is probably the most important card in the deck, but it's not 100% necessary. I didn't want a deck profile that was built around just a chain or lose. So you don't have to have this, but really, really, really strong in this deck. The next 2, the next 4 are going to be essentially cards that you can put in place of anything else. They haven't really done a whole lot, but they do help. These are kind of just interchangeable things. So the first set of 2 is going to be the Vegeta Prince of Speed. This just gains your hand advantage. Say you get cell chained, or maybe you're playing against a deck that's just taking care of your hand really well. You can evolve one of your earlier Vegetas into this on 4, or you can just drop it on 5. As long as you have 5 energy, this card is a double striker, and then it's going to draw you 2 cards when you play it. So you start to gain some of your hand advantage back. It's a 5 cost or a 4 cost if you evolve it. Double striker, 20k. So just a stronger card. Again, it's more board presence that puts pressure. The next one is kind of the same thing, just on the opposite side with a Goku. And then this one's built around dropping your opponent's board in case they get, maybe it's a Ginyu deck or whatever they're playing that's going really wide. You can kind of take care of it. So this is Awakening Rage Son Goku. You can evolve it for 5, or you can play it for 6. It's double strike, and then if you have Krillin, which isn't in this deck, it's not important. It would gain triple strike, and then its auto is when you play it, you can destroy battle cards that your opponent has up to energy cost of 6. So 6 1-drops, 3 2-drops, things like that. Again, just takes care of board. 5 cost double K if you evolve it, or 5 cost double striker, 25k, and then or a 6 cost if you don't evolve for it. Just strong. Again, these last 2, these Vegetas and these Gokus are interchangeable. So now we're going to get into what those Vegitos would pull if you were to get that chain off, that chain I talked about on Union Pator for 3, or if you just play it for 5. The first 2, I have one of the super rares, and then the other version of it. But these are the same card. It's just, this is your biggest target. I think this would probably be your best target for that Union Pator or that big chain. It's Hyper Rush Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. Union's for 5, so it's still strong. Like if you don't have the Vegito but you do have the 2, you can still make it happen on 5, or if you need to drop it on 7, if you've gone that late in the game, you can do it. What it does, it's got triple strike. When you play it, if your leader is Vegito, you can choose up to 1 opponent's battle card. God, there's like hair in my throat. If your leader card is Vegito, you choose 1 card in your opponent's battle area and 1 card in their hand. Pop the card and make them discard a card, and then you draw 2 cards, and then you can also take up to 2 cards in your life. So you can choose if you want to take 1, 0, 1, or 2 cards from your life. It helps Awaken. It's ridiculously strong. So again, this would come back in active mode if you did the chain, which is what's super important because it's a triple striker, and you can basically get this out on 3 with that chain. Absurdly strong. I did it all day at the tournament and just completely annihilated people with it. Super strong card. The next target, which I would like to probably have 2 copies of, but I only have 1, is the Repeated Force Vegito. So again, this is targetable by that Vegito combo, the little chain there. Unipator for 5 as well. It's got triple strike as well, but when it attacks, it gains plus 5,000 for every Son Goku and Vegeta in your drop. So you're gonna have a ton in drop, whether you've milled them due to that Vegito, or whether you've dropped them from life with the onslaughts, or however you've gotten them. Maybe you've comboed with a bunch of stuff. It's always going to beef up a ton, right? Like if you drop it on 3, it's probably not gonna have a whole bunch of support. But if you can get into the later game, maybe on turn 5, or if you do want to play it for 7 and just hardcast it, you can. But it's always going to have a ton of just additional power, and then you get to combo on top of that. That's not anything you have to pay for to get that extra 5k. It's just an instant what it has when it attacks. So super strong. Again, I'd like to have 2 copies of that rather than 1. I'm not entirely sure what I would take out. Probably one of the next 2 cards that I'm about to go over to play a second copy of it. The next ones are just one-ofs. These are kind of late game bombs. These are ways to kind of shut out the game if you haven't gotten to chain, or if you haven't established a good board presence throughout the game, or maybe you're just in a bad spot. The first is going to be Ultra Instinct Signed Son Goku. So you EX evolve it for 2. You place 1 card from your hand into the drop area, and then you evolve a blue Son Goku to 5 cost or more. So again, this is why Rapid Onslaught is so important. And the next card I'm about to show you also is dependent on having a 5-drop Son Goku out. So evolving for 3 into a 5 cost is really beneficial for these next 2 cards. So you evolve onto that, you drop your card, and you pay 2. It's got triple strike, and your opponent can't combo out of it. So when you swing in, it's a 35k triple strike that they can't combo over. And then if you evolve into it, you return literally everything that they have played out on their board back to their hand. Just another way to shut out the game, basically. So 1 copy of that, and then the next one, again, is another bomb. This is Ultimate Spirit Bomb Son Goku. You EX evolve for 1, which is really important. That's ridiculously cheap. You drop 2 cards in your drop area, which can help your leader. Sometimes those are negatives, obviously, with pretty much any other deck, but this can actually cause us a benefit. And then you evolve onto a 5 or more. So again, those Rapid Onslaughts help a ton with this. It's got double, but your opponent can't counter it. That's its permanent. And then when it attacks, you choose 5 battle cards from your energy and combo with them. So you're finishing the game, right? You take literally all of your energy, put it onto this card for free as a combo, and then you finish the game because they can't counter it. I would probably, if I had to be 100% honest, I would probably take this out for the other Rapid Onslaught. Or excuse me, not the Rapid Onslaught, the single shot Vegito. Super beneficial. But this card is really good. This actually did finish the game for me. So that's all for the battle cards on this end. And then the extra cards, we have our super combos, the 4 Divine Aid Vados. These are just your 10k combos. Draw a card if your life is 4 or less. Really beneficial. The next card was a tech that I really liked, and actually put in an extra copy like midway through the tournament or right after the tournament was done. That made more sense. 3 Zeno buttons. With this deck, you're tapping out your turn usually every single time. But where you have those Gokus where you're going to want to counter, or we have some other extra cards that I'll go over in a second that you're going to want to keep open, since this is more of a mid to potential late game deck. If you're playing against an aggressive deck, this is going to help a ton, and with how the meta is at the moment, it's really beneficial because there's a ton of really hyper aggressive decks that want to rush you down very quickly. So you can spend your turn, they'll feel comfortable going into their turn and putting all they can into a turn, use Zeno off their first attack, and then you have all this open energy to combo out of things, or maybe play some extra stuff that I'm going to talk about in a second to make sure that you can get over that, and then they're kind of run out of steam very quickly. Zeno's super strong. Next one, I'm not 100% set on it. It's a good card, but it hasn't done enough for me to be 100% set. 3 Sensu Beans. You should know what Sensu Beans do by now. If you don't, you choose one of your cards. and it gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. It's one of the only combo, I think it is the only combo card that actually lasts on a card. Most of them just go away after that battle's done, but this will last. So let's say, you know, they have a ton of smaller things, and you're kind of low on life. You want to Sensu Bean your leader as soon as they start swinging in. That way that 5k boost that this gives is there for the entirety of the turn. And then you choose 2 of your energy, so the one that you paid to tap this and whatever energy you choose to untap comes untapped. So it's free and you get an energy undone. Sensu Bean's really strong. Sensu Bean's never been bad. It just hasn't done enough in this deck for me to be 100% set on it. The next one is another 3 of. This is Whisa's Coercion. A 1 cost, negate an attack, and then you untap the energy that you use to cast it. So it's just a free negate as long as you have 1 open on their turn. Again, this is just for hyper aggressive decks, or really any deck that's trying to rush you down. This completely shuts them off. This teamed with like Sensu Bean or Zeno Button, you can go late game, and the late game in this deck just runs over pretty much everything. So as long as you can get there, which this helps a ton with, you're good. Super important. And then the last card is another tech that I really liked. This is one that I immediately fell in love with as soon as I started playing around with it. This is Rebirth of Justice. It's a 4 cost activate main. Choose 1 blue battle card in your hand. So again, everything that's a Goku or Vegeta is going to be any color, so blue. And it has to be 5 cost or higher, and then you play it and choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards and return it to their hand. So say they've chained you, or they have some kind of crazy evolve or something. This helps an absolute ton. It gets out, you know, some of your easier Vegeta and Goku targets, and then kick something back to their hand. And if it can be a cost higher than what you're paying, so you can get a 5-drop out on 4 and then run them over that way. So super strong. So that is going to do it for the deck profile. I haven't quite made a sideboard for it just yet. Still playing around with a lot of ideas, but the deck as it stands right now has done very well for me. So if you guys want a Vegito that's a little bit more grindy, a little bit more mid-range or mid to late game, this is going to help a ton, because it's not so aggressive, but it does have the potential to shut things out very quickly. So yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks for checking out the video, and you guys enjoy the rest of your day.